Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown. I am here with the beginning of a Let's Watch for The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1. This will be my first live stream of this series. Yes, it dropped on the 13th, so maybe I'm a little late, but this is kind of my pace. I usually need about a week or two to get things done. With the live streams, it'll take a little less time. So hopefully every Thursday, 3:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I should be able to do a live stream of whichever episode of Last of Us is out until the season ends. Okay, so we'll start here with me like this. I will introduce the show, and then once I'm done introducing the show and saying whatever I have to say, we want to get started on actually watching so you can see my reaction. You can talk to me on the chat box. I don't have a bunch of polls set up or anything like that. It's just going to be me on one of my accounts on the chat box. Okay? To be clear, I have multiple accounts, but the main one I use is Craig and Venus, I think is what it's called, although... No, it's just called Venus Brown. I have another one that's called Venus Plays Badly. I will occasionally be on that one, just if I want to see it from a different account. That's the main reason that I might do that. All right. Anyway, so I have already played Last of Us 1 and 2. Not the new refurbished ones. These were the original games from when they first came out. I played those all the way through. I loved 1. When I was playing 2, I didn't really care for some of the stuff, at least at first. There's definitely some challenges with that kind of game, especially when you're not used to what they did with that game. And I don't know how many of you know about this, but it was very different. It was very different from what I'm used to. A lot of people were upset about certain things that happened in the game. And playing Abby, which we'll find out about Abby in the series. Playing Abby at first was a little weird, and I was like, I don't even know, like, why are we doing this? Who is this person? Had no freaking clue. And then after you do find out who she is, like, after she does something really, really extreme, and after she does that, you're like, holy fuck, like, I do not ever want to play this person. This person is horrible, okay? But later on down the road, after you get more used to it and after you see some of the things that Abby's been through and kind of what's driving her, it at least gets you to better understand where she's coming from and why she's doing the things she does. Doesn't excuse them, but it does explain it a little bit. And after the game was all done, I was really glad they did it the way they did. It really freaking forces you to look at multiple sides and multiple things going on so that you can see kind of from the eyes of the people you're usually playing against. And I appreciated that. I think one of the really difficult things in playing the game was eventually Abby and Ellie are going to have confrontations, and you have to fight. And by the point that we got to any of those confrontations, I did not want to fight. Like, I literally, for a little while, just sat there holding my control and not doing anything. But you can't get the game to progress if you don't fight. You will just die and then be re-alived, whatever you want to call it. You'll be redeposited in the same scenario having to do it all again. So of course eventually, if you want to continue on, you got to continue fighting. So that was the part that I really did not like, especially in the moment. It felt futile and pitiful and awful. But by the time it was all done, I still like it really gave me a better understanding of just looking at this stuff from different perspectives than I think we're used to. So that I was very happy with. Now, I know this is changing the game to a show. They always change things up. And you always have fans that get upset about things. You have some fans that are excited. You have people that have never played the game that don't actually know what's going on. So the show's going to have to do the job of kind of catching those people that have never played the game up. Not make them feel like they're missing something because they never played the game, while still trying to appease the fans that have played the game. So I always think that is a very tough balance that they have to perform in order to do that. And it seems like no matter how good a presentation is, no matter how good a show or movie is, the show producers never do well enough in the eyes of the fans. And sometimes even in the eyes of the people that were not fans, that didn't know about that never played or watched or did anything with it. Sometimes even they are very unpleased. But my opinion is that anytime you're making changes to something like this, or you're doing a different presentation of something like this, you do what you need to do to make a good presentation, to do something interesting, something that works, but still will keep your audience entertained and engaged, and keep the core of the story alive. If you have to change things, try to change them around the edges a little bit, try to change little things here and there, but nothing that changes the core too much. When you change the core too much, you get these little butterfly effects that can sometimes ruin the thing. But as long as they keep the core of the story alive, as long as they keep me entertained and engaged, I'm okay. I know you are never, ever, ever, ever going to please everybody. So that is what it is. With a show like this that I already like, I already pretty much know they're probably going to keep me engaged and entertained, and I won't think it's that big a deal. And I will most likely be happy with most of it. There'll be little things that I dislike, but overall, usually it's not too hard to please me. But it seems like the interwebs and people in society lately, in like the last couple years, just want to complain a lot, to complain about anything and everything. And so it does seem like it's very hard to keep people from just going batshit crazy over every little thing, even if something's really good. Hopefully, we don't see a lot of that, but I've already been seeing headlines about fans being so upset and perturbed about the first episode, and I don't get it. I don't see it, but that's frequently the way it goes with these things, is that I enjoy them, I like them, and I don't get why everybody's complaining. I like to complain, I like to debate. If there is something I'm passionate about that I believe needs to be debated, that I believe is a problem and needs to be complained about. But I don't like the complaining just to complain. I find it very irritating and kind of stupid. And I also feel like some of it is that, like, we've gotten so spoiled. Like, our TV shows now might as well be movies, some of them. House of the Dragon is freaking movie level quality, and people complain about it all the time. Game of Thrones was fantastic. Yes, the last couple seasons were much, much worse than the previous ones, and there were a lot of things that they failed on. But some of the stuff that I was hearing from fans that they completely destroyed the whole show with the last season and all that. No, like, I'm sorry. You're just so spoiled with good stuff that you can't deal with the reality of the kind of shit that goes on when you're dealing with a huge show production like that you have to keep to a certain budget. You have to keep to a certain timeline. And you have to try to please all these people, not just the fans, but the people that are running this thing, the people that are going to air it, the companies that you're trying to air it with. So, anyway, I probably shouldn't harp on it too much longer because I think we probably should go ahead and get started with this. All right, so I am going to go ahead and first make sure that I am on here. Okay. All right, I see my presentation on live. How far am I in this? Ooh, it does not show. I have not started recording. That's not good. Hopefully I'll be able to go back later and get the copy from YouTube. But anyway, let's get this on here. Hopefully. Okay, so that is pretty much where it needs to be, hopefully. I'm just trying to make sure that I can actually see what is going on my channel and respond if anybody has anything in the chat while I am watching the show. I have a pre-recorded reaction of the show. I'm going to start that soon, and that will be playing on my channel. In the meantime, I am going to be watching on here. I'm going to be watching the show. Again, myself. I like watching multiple times. I have a head injury that causes me some short-term memory loss. So, take that out. So, it makes it harder for me to kind of maintain things in my short-term memory. I've got to get them in my long-term memory in order to remember them better. And stuff like TV shows and movies and things like that, I tend to remember just little details here and there and forget a lot of it. I forget a lot of it very easily. But the more I watch it, the more will actually get into my long-term memory and the better I will remember it. Which I like. I'm glad. I mean, in a way, it's kind of weird if I get like 5 minutes into a movie, half hour into a movie, and I don't remember ever seeing it, yet I know I've watched it. Like, sometimes it can take me till a half hour in before I start recognizing things. So that's a little weird, but it also makes it so that I can almost watch it new, like I'm watching it fresh. Like I'm watching a fresh copy that I never had seen before, even though I'm not. All right, so anyway, we're watching the first episode of The Last of Us Season 2. This is kind of building the scenario. What's happened in the past and what are we doing to build up and get ready for the rest of the season. There's a lot of stuff that is going to happen in this season. And I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to seeing what we have going on. And if you've watched my trailer reaction, then you'll know I have played the games, but it was a long time ago, so I don't necessarily remember everything, but there's bits and pieces I remember. So it'll be interesting to kind of make comparisons. But it has been a very long time. So, either way, with further ado, let's go ahead and get this episode started. I'm going to turn the show on, and my face is going to go away. I'm also going to turn my oh, that's my husband. I'm recording a live stream, so you might not want to stay in here. All right, so I'm going to turn the recorded reaction on. There will be a 10-second timer right before I start the episode. So if you want to watch along with me, you wait for the 10-second timer to end, and then you press play. I'm going to do the same thing over here on my laptop, and it should play the recording, the reaction all the way through. I do have little bits and pieces on here, so you're not going to be completely lost. It's not just me talking with nothing else going on. But I cannot put everything on there. That is not legal. I would get my content taken down with a quickness because it's a copyright violation. All right, so either way, let's get this going. And let me see what time it is. 3:46. So that's not too terrible. I went like 60 minutes in. Okay, so let's turn this on. I'm going to turn this off. All right, everyone, this is Season 2, Episode 1, Final Days, the season premiere of The Last of Us. Let's get going.
Swear to me that everything you said about the Fireflies is true.
Right from the beginning of the game.
I swear.
And I'm going to be doing the game on my gaming channel, but later. Not right now. Right now I'm posting gameplay of Evil Within 2. And should you decide to search for it, I don't have much on it, but it's called Venus Plays Badly, because I am not a good game player. I get turned around very easily. I am not very graceful. I don't have a lot of good hand-eye coordination, but I'm determined usually, and I'm persistent. I will get killed over and over again, but I will still try to keep coming back for the most part. And I have played all of The Last of Us 1 and 2, and I'm starting on the remake that's called Last of Us Part 1. But like I said, it'll be a while before I get that on there.
Not until we find Joel. We're finding him. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
All right, let's talk about how.
So this, from what I remember, looks like it starts from a very different point. I mean, if you haven't played the game before and you plan on playing the game, I will probably provide spoilers, a considerable amount, but at least this kind of gives you some idea of what's going on before things get going. Whereas the game, you just kind of dropped in the middle of this and you don't have any real understanding of who Abby is, of what's going on, of what her motivations are. You just have this idea of their relationship and she's looking for someone and something. And when she gets to that, where she tries to kill him, you're just totally blindsided. I still loved the way the game went. I was not happy about it at all while I was playing initially. But after I went through it, I was like, this was actually a really good way to play the game. Like, you get to see these multiple sides to something that you're not going to think about on most games that you play. See them in a way, see the two sides. You know, when you're always playing the good guys against the bad guys and you always see the other side as the bad guys. And it's like, it's not so cut and dry. There's all this other stuff that's feeding the bad guys that makes it so after you really get an inside look, they don't quite feel so bad. Though many people insisted, no, she was fucking bad regardless, but no, like, at least lets you see her reasons. 5 years later. That makes sense. Because I'm like, they're talking about it like it's when she first found out about what just happened. And that was the other thing. The game didn't give you knowledge about that until after. Like after you meet her and you're playing her a little while and you're learning about the part she's going to play in things.
Boom, motherfucker.
First of all, okay means stop.
Sorry, I was in the
Okay,
mood.
means stop.
Second, you can't boom motherfucker people who land a first hit on you. Square in the face.
Don't we have to? Because community and shit.
Oh, you're part of the community now?
And I don't know, the way she said community and shit, you could tell she doesn't really feel like she's part of the community and she just has to put on a role-playing game to fit enough with the community to deal with them. So... definitely moving things around a bit, but it seems like the storyline is still intact, which is the main thing that I want from changes that are inevitably going to be made to remakes. I know people get frustrated by that, They get frustrated by not enough changes, frustrated by too much changes, frustrated about the wrong changes. But my main thought is keep the core of the story intact. Let things fray here and there to get whatever it is the show producers are looking for, but still put on a good show. Still get the main pieces. And if you're going to change the main pieces, don't change them in a really drastic way. Isn't Formaning. Teach me? Teacher.
Okay.
I was so frustrated with my husband sometimes while my kids were growing up because all the focus was on my child that was assigned male at birth to do stuff like this, and the child that was assigned female at birth never really did, even though our assigned female at birth would definitely have been far more interested in this, and our assigned male at birth not so much at all. So it was like you're teaching this other one that doesn't care about it, and you're neglecting the one that actually would. And then they get older and they transition to different genders anyway. Or what I am.
So the springs hold the levers?
The thing
down?
is, I try. I know I'm a hard ass and maybe overprotective, and she's her.
And you...
But
he lied to her and broke her trust. So it's beyond the strictness. It's you broke her trust. So that puts her in a different place. In a way, you can. Oh, I love it. Oh, this will make it so much more fun to play this game. Just like, I mean, I always like comparing things from one game to another, from a show to a game or a movie to a game. But like going through the house and stuff like that and seeing the stuff going on in scenes. It'll be interesting to see the comparisons and have this more real life kind of perspective on it. Granted, the graphics and everything on the game are friggin' phenomenal, so they're about as close to realistic, I think, as you're gonna get. But you can still see there, a lot of cutscenes and not real life, not exactly, it's still close though, but And like I said, the different perspectives, the different setup.
I'm an adult. He can't tell me what I can and can't do.
Yeah, well, he can tell me. Look, I've been dealing with him my whole life. Sometimes, easier to just go along.
It's not fair. And I know there's some people that complain that, like, she doesn't look like she's aged enough. Frankly, she is a full-grown adult in real life. She's not gonna age more. You're just gonna have to do the best you can to present that image. Some people don't look all that old, and that's okay. I mean, frankly, in my opinion, even on the game, she didn't look that old. Yes, she looked older, but she looked teenager older, and you could get away with saying that Bella looks like a teenager while she's a full-grown adult. Clock.
They're fleeing collapsed settlements, they're fleeing infected. We're supposed to leave them out there?
If our lifeboat is swamped, yeah, we leave them out there.
Like, you can only do so much with what you have. And if you do get too many in, then it becomes more insolvable. Yep, you gotta strike a balance, but he's not wrong. You gotta find ways to make this work. And how do you do that? And it has been a while since I played part 2, so my memory of it is not going to be great. But I have some specific memories that I remember pretty well. And I'll just be waiting for them.
Psychotherapist. Psychiatrists are the pill ones. And no, we're not allowed to drink.
I always had a hard time understanding the difference, but I do at least have that down now.
But she's not.
Neither is Ellie.
Yeah, exactly. Feels like it, but not. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily.
And you are definitely leaving something out. And you want me to validate that? No. In fact, fuck no.
Yeah, see, like this stuff, I remember something, but I don't remember enough to really connect exactly what's going on, but I remember some of it. Not physically. Breaking trust is painful, though. I mean, if you don't want to tell her the whole thing, you could tell her I lied to her.
Her.
I do love the part that music plays in this whole thing. It's beautiful.
Cat's available
Why would I ask Kat?
because she's the other one.
Oh my god.
What?
She definitely left her mark. Someone else indeed. Lots of blood. I watched an interview she did about her, you know, imitating the clickers and stuff like that. It's pretty hilarious. Yes?
The rest of the dishes in there are for you to put in the dishwasher.
Okay, thank you. Please mark it. Barbecue. Beautiful. not
Just
going
gonna let him
to.
go in?
I'll give him 5 minutes.
It's not like there's any stopping him. I know there are methods to stopping people like that, but it's usually not worth it.
If you'd rather let the men handle it.
When I first learned about the clickers from the instructions on the game, I was so freaking scared. I would just go so freaking slow and try to be so freaking still and try to avoid them every way I could for so long. It took me a while to figure out what was okay and how I could kind of deal with them. And that's on the old game, not the new one. I have not played the new ones, so. Especially not to the point of clickers yet. I think I've got through the intro and a little bit of the first part. I'm wondering if I might be able to get away with playing more of the video footage since some of the audio is so quiet. Doing the full reaction. Broken glass always makes me so nervous when you're trying to walk around it. Fucking badass. Isn't there one more? Oh, I forgot about that. And there's spores. And I think this is where she finds out that, I don't remember if she finds out something's fucked up, but there is the issues that there's spores and she is not reacting to them without a mask on. I mean it. And I have to say, there are so many spots on the game where you're in a place like this and most of it just seems so much the same. I still don't mind it because these also provide places that I can hide and kind of move slowly and, you know, with the way that I don't play very well, so. But I also get frustrated at, like, not knowing what to do sometimes. Not knowing how to get to certain places, not knowing where to go.
Run at me, fucker! Run at me!
They just look at, like, at a sad, they look like they're at a sad state at that point. Like this in-between point where they seem to still, like, have some cognition, or I don't even know if it's cognition, but, you know, they look in pain, uncomfortable.
Feeling.
Reality is nothing but a collective hunch.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta use your intuition. Sometimes your guts are spot on even when your head says something different. And sometimes your guts are dead wrong, but whatever. So it doesn't look like that's the point where she found out about the spores. About her not needing the mask or whatever. Or, like I said, I don't even remember if she found out that she didn't need the mask. It was just like, she could have. Barbecue. She always did like the jokes.
You been playing much?
Enough, yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna make a connection with this girl one way or another. Yeah, this scenario I remember pretty well. Not all of it, of course, but the important parts. No.
What?
Ellie, hey, what took you so long?
This next one is a little slower.
That awkward position when you know you really into somebody, but you don't think that they're quite into you that way. Or you're worried they're not. You think?
Oh, Ellie. I think they should be terrified of you.
Yay! Yep. Gotta work through it. And that I at least know from the game that they, they kind of get there eventually. It's just fucking rough. Go on. Talk to your makeshift dad. He's more of a dad than most dads are. Not my dad. My dad was great, but and even biological dads, even the best ones, go through periods where they fucking broke trust and shit has to be mended. And granted, this has been years since he broke her trust, but you still gotta work on it. Ay, 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 ay. I think I remember a little of that stuff. And I will eventually get the redone version of part 2. It's just, I want to play all of part 1 before I get the next part. All right. That's the end. And I did not play it all the way through. I don't know if there's going to be any after credit things or anything, but anyway, I will go ahead and pass this on to my real life self, and we can talk about this. All right. That episode's all done. I enjoyed it. I think they did a good job at kind of like building the story without causing a lot of the issues I think that existed in the game of not knowing what the fuck is going on. But I think one of the ways that they created that situation where you actually figure out somewhat what's going on, I didn't care for that scene, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, I loved doing it this way. So I had my live stream going on Streamlabs right here. I had the recording that I did, which is playing the exact same thing right here on the same screen, just larger image. And then down here on my laptop, I had full screen going with the actual show. And I don't know, I thought that was great. It was great seeing the setup that I had up here on these two, one small and one medium screen, and then the full picture showing up here on the large screen. That was great stuff. Anyway, good episode. I can't wait to see more. I think when I come back on next Thursday, I'll talk a little bit more about kind of like what I'm looking forward to in the coming episodes and what I'm hoping they will cover versus what I think they might cover. I don't. Anyway, or what I don't want them to cover, if there's anything I don't want them to cover. But anyway, so let's see. Without further ado, so my VIP of the episode, Gail, and happy bittersweet birthday to you, Gail. I am so sorry, but glad you get to be with us to partake your great knowledge to Joel, who really needs it. But VIP, the therapist, telling it like it needs to be told to Joel. Really appreciated that. Yes, your therapists are supposed to act a certain way and not supposed to drink alcohol while they're therapizing you and everything. But sometimes you need to be told a real truth. Sometimes they need to be honest with you and not play with kids' gloves. Joel is not somebody that needs kids' gloves. That's not going to help him. So I really appreciated that. That was my VIP of the episode. Gail, top notch. All right. Best scene. Best scene was in the New Year's dance when Ellie and Dina are talking about these guys like all staring. And Dina's like, maybe they're staring at you. Maybe they're not just staring at me. And she's like, they've got no reason to be staring at me. They're staring at you. And she's like, maybe they're jealous. And she's like, there's no reason for them to be jealous. I'm not a threat. Because in her view, Dina isn't looking at her that way. Dina doesn't have those feelings for her, so she's not a threat. And I just loved this line. It says, "Oh Ellie, they should be terrified of you." Right before kissing her. That, I loved that. I thought that was great. And the way that she presented the line, I thought was just flawless. It was wonderful. Okay, so we did VIP, the therapist, crap person, or what did I think in my description I put POS, piece of shit. Piece of shit of the episode. The bigot, double standards, okay? The bigot who freaking broke up their nice little kiss with his double standard that this is a family event. They're in a church. Like, how dare they? And then, of course, use the fucking bigoted line that you're a dyke. That was fucking like icing on the disgusting cake. But the double standard of calling them out for kissing in a family event while you have all these other couples that I'm sure are kissing. You got all these other people drinking alcohol. This is not a freaking innocent little event. You are merely calling them out because you are a fucking prejudiced asshole. Because it's two girls kissing rather than a girl and a boy. And that is a double standard. And it's fucking ridiculous. And you bigots need to get over yourselves. Anyway, so that's my piece of shit of the day. Alright, worst scene. Okay, so this is what I wanted to bring up later, like about the things they did to kind of fix some of the problems I think people had with the gameplay originally. That dropping us in the middle of Abby's story without knowing anything about Abby, and we're having to play Abby. Okay, so we're not going through that on this. On this, they're presenting Abby ahead of time and kind of introducing her story ahead of time. She's fucking pissed off. She has every right to be. She's grieving. She's angry. She is vengeful. Because Joel fucking killed her dad. Killed a whole shitload of people. In the last season, when he saved Ellie, he killed all those people. That was her dad. That was the doctor. And yeah, so that was good that they kind of presented that so you don't have some of the fallout that the game had with the game being played that way. And honestly, the being stuck in the middle of playing Abby when you don't know who the fuck she is and she doesn't seem to be a part of the story at the time, and yeah, and you're just like, what the fuck? And then when you do find out who the part she's playing, then you're like, what the fuck? Why do I have to play this fucking person? But anyway, what I did not like, the scene that I disliked the most on this episode, was that scene that is supposed to be taking place right after her dad was killed. After they buried her. At least that's buried him. At least that's the way it seemed. All of those people that Joel killed have just been buried. They've got their little crosses in the ground. And these young people are discussing the issue of what to do next. Where are they going to go? How are they going to move forward? And of course, Abby is like, we're fucking killing this motherfucker. We don't need to be going to look for the fireflies right now. We need to be going to find this motherfucker and kill him. He's already 3 days ahead of us. Okay, and that's not the problem I had. The problem I had is that in the game, she seemed very young, very uninvolved with this group. Like she's with these people because her dad is the doctor. She's very young, so she's not like actively involved in the group. To me, it would have made more sense to present her as this guy's daughter who just found out her dad died and she's screaming and crying and like fucking miserable. Yes, vengeful, angry, whatever, but a young kid. And they're presenting her like she's not much younger than what she is in the main part of the show, in the current events of the show. Was it 2029, I think. And that bugged me because I'm like, no, like it seemed like she was quite young in the game. And in the show, it seems like they're presenting her as, you know, a fairly mature teenager at the very least. She's like giving people orders, and yes, she's vengeful, but she's all calm and cool and collected and talking like a mature adult, not like a little kid that just found out her dad died. That bugged me. That to me was the worst scene. Even though, yes, it did help you get to understand a little what was going on, which the game did not do, but I think the game intentionally did not do that. Let's see, what else? Okay, so we've got the VIP, the piece of shit, best scene, worst scene. Okay, so I wanted to take down a couple of the lines that I enjoyed. So of course the barbecue bear, you know, the barbecue line, that was cute. But when Joel is talking to Dina and he asks her about how you check the power for these things, and she looks at him and says, "You lick them?" I love that. And it brought back so many memories, like of those fucking batteries with the two posts on the end that you'd stick your tongue on to see if they've got fucking power. Yep, I remember that shit. I only did it a couple times because even though it never really hurt, it always was just nerve-wracking, the thought of it. Okay, the other line that I took down, I loved this. Ellie is with Tommy doing the shooting practice, and they're talking. She's trying to convince him that he should let her go on the next little quest to figure out what's going on with these zombies. And oh gosh, what was it? Just something she said, like he's arguing with her, and he goes, I swear, you and my brother, same fucking person. Loved that line. And it was so spot on. Because they really are like, I would say they're two sides of the same coin, but they really are like, they are the same coin. They are the same fucking person. Like he said. In so many ways. It is heart-wrenching to see them mad at each other, to see them hurting each other, to see them hurting from each other. That is heart-wrenching. But, you know, this is stuff people go through. And when you break trust the way that he broke trust with her, that kind of thing is going to happen. And he's got to find a way to freaking, like I said, connect with her whatever way he can. The music thing was the start. I'm pretty sure eventually it helps and they start to get on kind of a better path. But it's going to take a while. That stuff doesn't just get fixed overnight. And I loved that the therapist called him out for the most boring problem ever. Oh, my 19-year-old kid is treating me the same way every other 19-year-old kid ever treats their parents. And I was like, yep. You tell him like it is. All right, y'all. I think that's enough for today. So the next episode, as far as I know, every episode is probably going to be dropped on Sunday. So Sunday, I'll go ahead and watch. I'll get to work on this stuff, or I'll probably watch on Monday, because frankly, Sunday night I'm usually doing other stuff. But either Sunday night or Monday, I will get to watching it. I will get everything done and taken care of. And on Thursday, we will have our next live stream to watch episode 2. And I did like the way this turned out. And it seems so far like YouTube has allowed it. So I will go back and double check my channel and make sure. I also found out yesterday after I finished my live stream of the trailers and the behind the scenes, I found out how to actually turn the stream all the way off, because it kept saying it was alive even though I had told it to end already. So if anybody wants to know and they don't know this, in YouTube Studio, where you go and look at your content, you click on the content that you're looking. You can, you just click on the content that you're trying to mess with. You basically go to your live stream, you click on the heading of the one that you're trying to mess with, and in the bottom, there's this little menu, and one of the symbols, it looks like a radio symbol or something like that. Like there's a signal going out. So you click that signal, and it opens up a screen for the signal that they're sending for the live stream, basically. And up in the top right corner, I believe, there is a box that you can click to end the stream. So that's how I had to end the stream. Apparently that's the appropriate way to do it. So now I know how to do it and I can do it. And if anybody else was confused because they don't exactly make it very easy to figure out, that's how you do it. Find that, go to YouTube Studio, click on the live stream you want to stop, find that little symbol that looks like a signal going out. It's basically got 2 or 3 little arches around a circle or something like that. You click on that, click up in the right corner, there should be a box that says end stream, and that will end the stream. I will see you when I see you. I would put my little outro. Just, you know, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. If you want more content, you can click subscribe. If you want to see content every time I bring new content out, you can select to subscribe to all to get all my notifications. And that's all I got for you this week. I will see you next week.